Hello everyone, welcome to Chapter 4, Collaborative Solutions. If you're watching this, you're either already subscribed to my channel, found this on YouTube, or you purchased my husband and I's brand new book, One House, Two Minds, The Psychological Effects of COVID-19 on Our Household. Now, after reading chapters 1, 2, and 3, you then come across the unique chapter 4. In chapter 4, there are no words. Why? Because my husband and I did something very new and innovative. Instead of words, there's a QR code inserted in the beginning of the chapter that the reader scans with their smartphone to be directed straight to this video. So, in this video, you will visually watch as my husband and I discuss our collaborative solutions rather than reading them. We believe this is an incredible way to add technology to our book. But first, I'll give you a brief description from the book with our beautiful baby girl Zen featured on the back. The only thing perfect about this earth is the earth itself. Humans, however, are the most imperfect creatures that the earth bears. So to think that anything we do is even in the atmosphere of perfect is a mere example of an imperfect thought. Perfection is a goal forever chased. Though we never reach it, it is what we experience along the journey that accumulates worth. As a married couple, we are far from perfect. Like all, there's a problematic structure embedded within our union. However, since March of 2020, there's been a foreign infringement that has begun to intensify our problems, COVID-19. In this book, we attempt to be our own therapists by separately writing inserts that consist of our honest, clandestinely held thoughts about the problems we have with one another and the degree to which COVID-19 has intensified those problems. Later in the book, when you arrive at chapter 4, you will find a unique and innovative method in how we've decided to present this particular chapter. This chapter is based on a sit-down that we had after reading each other's inserts and together coming up with solutions to attempt to strengthen our union during uncertain times. We believe that a fractured union is no match for added pressures that are outside of the doings of ourselves. Therefore, this book is our ultimate attempt to mitigate our personal differences with honesty and conversation, and together fight this abrupt enemy that appears to have a mission bereft of liberty, COVID-19. Will we succeed? Now let's get into the discussion.
So after reading each other's inserts within the book, we sat down together to come up with some collaborative solutions. But first, we did a thorough reading of the book and just to find out what was the core central problems that we feel like we were having. And the two that we found was partnership and communication. On my behalf is partnership, on her behalf is communication. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to dwell a little bit on those two subjects. I'm going to explain why I feel it's partnership, and she's going to explain why she feels as though it's communications. All right, so I'm going to start with the partnership element and why I believe that partnership is a problematic aspect to our relationship, especially during times of COVID-19. So we find ourselves in a predicament in which times are hard. And when times are hard, you need that partnership. And I think partnership exceeds a lot of other elements within a relationship. It's okay to still focus on love and things of that nature, but when it's crunch time, like you need that warrior spirit, and you need a foundational structure. You need someone with you, someone, especially in a house where there's two individuals capable of perpetuating the sustainability of that structure. You need both of those people working together, because it's like pillars, and both individuals serve as the foundational structure of what you're holding up. And so if one caves, the entire structure falls apart. So I feel like partnership is highly needed during these particular times. And one of the problems that I find is that I'm focused more on the partnership element, and you still seem somewhat encapsulated within more so a honeymoon, love, type sphere, and which I understand is important, but you have to categorize importance. And it's like right now, the partnership is needed. The tribe. We need leaders right now, and it's like we are the only two within this household that has the ability to keep it afloat. So when you veer, it makes it, to me, it seems like a very, very lonely journey. If I feel like I'm the only one trying to sustain what it is that we have, and it's like, and I get met with a lot of doubt within my pursuits, and that makes it even harder. It's even harder when you're not only navigating through trying to do it yourself, but you're also navigating through a plethora of doubt, so I feel like the doubt and the separatist type energy should come from abroad. It shouldn't come from within, because abroad you have to fight as well. The home should be your comfort zone. The home should be where you come to rejuvenate, where you come to rejuvenate after the war outside. And within that rejuvenating atmosphere, it should be this partnership sentiment, because that is, the partner is the person who also assists you in a rejuvenating process. So a lot of times I feel like I'm fighting abroad as well as fighting home. So essentially it's like in my mental space, there's nowhere peace, there's nowhere for me to rejuvenate. And so I think for me right now, especially in times of the pandemic, partnership to me is very, very essential, and I think it should be categorized as the number one priority in which we are seeking. We have a newborn and love her to death, but it has to extend past the emotional aspect of that. We have to keep a roof over her head, so like it becomes more severe, and then it's an extension that's required right now. We have to extend past love. We have to extend past care, and we really have to focus on that partnership. We really do. So for me, that's the problematic element that I see within this relationship, and I understand for you, it's communications. So I'm listen to what you got to say about communications.
Well, as I said in the book as well, I know that I have a deep problem with communicating effectively, efficiently, and I don't always convey what I'm thinking. I may be thinking something and trying to convey it to you, and it either don't come out the way I'm trying to make it come out, or you don't receive it the way that I intend for you to receive it. And I think same thing vice versa. A lot of times when because we have different communication styles, I guess you could say, and different ways of communicating in general, I think a lot of times when you communicate with me, had the message been sent in a different way, a lot of times a different tone, or different choice of words, or whatever the case may be, if it was the same message but sent in a different way, it probably would have gotten through to me, or I would have perceived it in a different kind of way, versus how it comes off and then it rubs me the wrong way. Because I know, I'll admit that when we get into it, or anybody that I would get into it with, I get defensive when I feel like a person's like coming for me, like, and it doesn't really matter what who the person is or whatever, but if I feel like the person that's talking to me or yelling or whatever, if I feel like your intent is somewhat malicious, like, I'm not saying that that's the case for you all the time, but if I feel that from somebody, like just how you say, like, it's energy that you get from a person, like not always what they say, but you read in their energy. And when I feel that there's some sort of like malicious intent in conversation with somebody, then even if I feel what they saying, I automatically go into like defense mode, and it's just complete. I don't care what they're like. It's like I don't even care what you're saying, because it just takes me to the finding an enemy. Like, you found me, now we're in it. Like, that's how it feels sometimes. And that's just how I mean, I'm not saying it's correct, but I'm saying I think that's why that does cause like kind of like the same issues over and over again in our relationship. And it may seem like we've talked about this a million times or whatever, but the approach is always the same too, and it always causes it's just a pattern, and it just keeps causing the same thing over and over again. And I know what you're probably going to reply back to this and say and be like, you're soft, because you always say that. But I mean, when you're in a relationship with somebody, you have to, I'm not saying you change who you are, but you have to realize who you're dealing with at the same time too. So like we were talking about your passion and the way that you talk and all the way that you express yourself. Like I said, it took a while to get used to that, because I was like, what is, you know what I mean? I was like, this is new for me or whatever. But at some point I was like, this is who he is, this is how he expresses himself. And it might seem like a lot to me because I have a different demeanor than you do. But I mean, at the end of the day, this is who he is and this is how he is. So you kind of tailor certain things with the person that you're with. So if you know that you're not efficiently and effectively coming across to the person that you're talking to, and you want them to, it's like when you say like relatable terms. If you know that, then it's like, be relatable. Like, you know. And that's what I think a lot of the times with our communication is like, if something comes out the wrong way, then it goes from a simple suggestion or a simple conversation to an attitude and are you coming for me? Like, oh, now I'm coming for you. And then it becomes that when it doesn't have to be that. So I think a lot of times that's how I perceive a lot of our communication. And then also, like I said, I have a lack of communication because I'm not very vocal. It's weird because on my YouTube I can talk and ramble on, but in our relationship, I think in the past few years in general, I've just become a lot more reserved, and I just don't have as much to say. So I know that is like I said in the book, a huge hindrance, whether it's COVID or not. But I think now that we're in a pandemic, everything is just heightened. Like the tension in the household is heightened, and having any kind of issue with all that extra tension and not really talking about it in depth, like how we did through the book, which was a really good way to get it out, right? I know that's extremely hindering to our relationship, or any relationship for that matter, but our relationship.
Well, I mean, I think one of the solutions to communication, I think we already took the ultimate step by collaborating on a project where that's based solely on honesty. Mm-hmm. I think honesty is one of the greatest paths to any problematic situation, whether that honesty is harsh or whether it's soothing. And so as far as communications, I think we took the best step, which was to sit down separately, write down our thoughts in an honest manner, allow each other to read each other's thoughts, and then to sit down and actually talk about it. And as I said, we found the core issues being partnership and communications. So I think we took our first step as far as communications go.
Yeah.
However, the partnership this is partnership as well. We're collaborating on this project, which I think was actually good for us because it placed us in the same area of the house. It set us down. It made us talk more. It made us think more. It made us, after this, we're going to edit the video together. So it was a lot more time together, and we're actually being productive. And that is one of the things that I really like to focus on, and I love to be productive. And that can be another hindrance to our relationship is I never like to stop. I never like to stop moving. I gotta keep moving, I gotta keep doing, and I gotta be productive because without productivity, I feel worthless. And that is a huge blow to my psychological state. And but the result of that is I do a lot. And it's because I'm on a journey to be something. A young African American male who is self-made. You know, I don't have a college degree, so things are harder for me. There's nothing for me to present to an employer when there's during application processes and things of that nature. So all I have is my talent. All I have is my passion. And so I have to accumulate my own accolades, my own accomplishments, things of that nature. And so that's why I move so relentlessly. And the communications aspect, we get lost in translation a lot of times because I'm speaking more so in a drill sergeant manner versus a charismatic manner. I do understand that. A lot of that is driven from the passion within me to succeed. And I come from troubled beginnings. And so every door that I hit, every next level that I pivot to or that I somehow make it to, I'm so blessed to be at that level. And it's deeper for me. You know, it's deeper for me. So when I'm speaking, I'm very passionate because I have a lot within me that I'm fighting with. You know, so if I'm speaking to you about something important and your rebuttals are not as substantive, it somewhat angers me because I'm looking for more to come from you because of the partnership. So that's communications and partnership intersecting. Yeah. And it's like, because we're married, so I can expect everyone else in the world to either ignore what I'm saying or don't pay attention to what I'm saying or don't believe what I'm saying. But when it comes to my wife, if I'm speaking something, if I'm communicating to her, I really need her to speak back to me in a substantive manner to either validate what I'm doing or to disavow what I'm doing. Like, I need that. I think everyone needs someone in their corner who's steering them right in a verbal tense, you know. And so, like I said, I think the first excellent step we took was writing this book, and that's writing this book caused us to form a partnership, and it caused us to communicate. So I think more collaborative solutions would be just more partnering. You know, I was just speaking to you about what would Mark Cuban say right now. With all this, even though it's a devastating time, there's a lot of time. You know, and it's like, what do we do in that time? How much do we produce in that time? How much do we accomplish in that time? And that's how I look at time. I'm looking at this whole juncture as a clock, and it's steady ticking, and it's like, what does Darwin and Sarah do in that time? Mm-hmm. And like, this should be the perfect time for us to build a better relationship. Mm-hmm. But if we're veering, if we are in two different worlds, you're seeking this, I'm seeking that, it makes it harder. But if we come together and we attach our vision and we seek the same thing, I feel like it'll be so much better. It'll be so much more collaborating around the house. You know, I just think it'll be so much better if we can nail that partnership aspect. Because right now I think it's the most important thing that we can do.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that through communication, that partnership will become stronger. And like you said, this project in itself, we call it a communication project because it's essentially what we were doing through writing, but it caused partnership. You see what I mean? So I think through communication, that's how it'll happen. Because when we're good, we're good. But when the communication is off, that's when things are off. Like, so, yeah, I think the overarching focus is partnership, but the tentacles to get to a stronger partnership, one is definitely communication.
Absolutely. So our collaborative solutions are communicating more and more effectively
and more for me, yeah,
and formulating a better partnership.
Yeah.
So do you vow to join me in building better and more effective communications?
I do.
Yes.
Oh, get up.
Yeah.
You didn't vow.
No, I mean, I vow as well. I said, do you vow joining me? So,
do you vow to join me? When we went to the altar, they asked us both to say anything.
I do.
I didn't finish what I was saying. Do you vow, and you gotta do that again, to join me in better, more effective, and efficient communication that will lead, and patience, that will lead to partnership, better partnership.
That is a lot to remember, but I vow to embark on a road that leads to better partnership with you.
Well,
all right, guys. So I mean, that's our collaborative solutions. We thank you all for tuning in. We really think that this is an important thing that we did. I don't know how what situation you all may be in. I don't know if staying at home orders and COVID-19 is affecting you in the way that it's affecting us, but we felt like this was a therapeutic project and it was needed for us. Because, I mean, especially when we turn on the news, you see that domestic violence is spiking according to the data. Staying at home is a pretty it's a pretty tough thing, man. And
that goes for not just married couples, but families as well, children and everything. So everyone's kind of, getting frustrated and going through it. But if you have a whole family, I suggest you all sit down. Nobody leaving the table until everybody says something. And yeah, take the time out to work things out, while we had the time to.
And remember, being honest is the key, and the reason we did this is because our marriage is worth salvaging. That is why it's so important to be honest and to hash out your differences. Only if something is worth saving. And we believe that this is worth saving. We just had a newborn, beautiful young girl, Zen. And we're newly married 1 year. So we have a long road ahead of us. So we're still learning. But it says a lot when a person is willing to sit down and continue to learn, so that learning leads to a better road. So I think this is a great project, and I thank my wife for taking the time to do this. So,
and I was gonna do this off camera, but I wanted to thank my husband for holding me accountable to making sure we was writing on days that we should have been writing, and to get things done in a more than a timely manner. This guy has no patience. Like he said, all he does is production. And like I said before in the book, I'm way more relaxed. So I take my time doing things. And we were on his time for this. We were on warp speed time for this. So we got this done in a really timely manner. So it feels good to now say that I'm also an author of a book, and to have done it with my husband is even more special. So thanks for concocting this project for us, and it's even more valuable, like what we've gotten from it versus what we've created, if that makes sense. So
That makes sense.
yeah. So, and thank you guys for watching and for supporting and being a part of this. I hope this really, our transparency really inspires you to reach out to whomever you've been ignoring in the other room all these days and try to hash things out as best you can. So, yeah.
Chapter 4, Collaborative Solutions. Thank you guys for watching.
And the book is called
Oh yeah.
the book is called One House, Two Minds: The Psychological Effects of COVID-19
On our household.
Yes.
And it's available now on Amazon. So please support us. Please support us. It's a fun project. Thank you.
Thank you.